I don't think it should have happened. Said Tyronn Lue to The Athletic about getting fired by the Cavs 15 months ago. Pablo, is Lue right about that?
He is, because very few coaches in memory have been treated like this. 3 finals, 1 title, and then goodbye. But Ty Lue, it sounds like, he was mostly to ownership, to the front office. He was the guy who could handle LeBron, who challenged LeBron, who made him play at his best, who told Kyrie and Kevin Love, hey, defer to LeBron while also simultaneously infuriating LeBron well enough for him to be a peak performer. And so when LeBron left, so was Ty Lue. Ty Lue was out, and I understand how that came to be.
Yeah, certain irony in this, though, is him saying that a coach who had been to the finals as many times as he was would not wind up getting fired. I can name one. It happened to him twice, and he might be the greatest coach of all time. And that's Phil Jackson. Happened to him at the end of Chicago, where they decided it was just the end of the rope on that one. And then happened to him again twice in Los Angeles, where they just said, okay, now we're done with this. But Lue didn't have the baggage with his situation as Jackson had with those. I get where he's coming from, but they really just looked at him as guy who coached LeBron. As much as Dan Gilbert hated the idea that LeBron thought the world revolved around him, he sure acts like it did, because nobody else really gets any credit, seems to be, in the mind of Dan Gilbert for winning that championship other than LeBron James and I guess himself.
And credit to David Griffin, because Ty Lue in this story was saying as soon as David Griffin, who was Ty Lue's champion, he wanted to replace David Blatt. As soon as Griffin was gone and Kobe Altman came in, he kind of knew it was over. Quote, watch out over the next 12 to 18 months. He might try to build one last super team there in Miami. Said Brian Windhurst about Pat Riley and the Miami Heat on Sirius XM NBA radio. So, Bo, could you see Riley pulling that off?
Well, to pull that off, in that interview, Windhurst made a very important point. He said, what Pat Riley feels like is you doing all this and trying to structure your little cap room and this long-term plan. Nah, what you need is 1 or 2 of these dudes to look up and say, I want to come play for you. You go make it happen, and then you find a way to go make it happen. So the question is he going to be able to get those 1 or 2 guys to do that? And is one of them going to be my man, Freaky Greeky, who does not impress you anymore?
I think that Giannis is the guy they're talking about. They're talking about Giannis coming over as a free agent in 2021. That is what the director of Heat Propaganda has informed me. But what I love about this story is that we have a great man theory of general managing with Pat Riley that is kind of extinct otherwise. Simply by force of Pat Riley being Pat Riley, all of these things are possible. But in reality, you are correct. It's about what these guys individually are feeling, because Pat Riley is amazing, and he'll put his rings on the table, and it'll be blindingly bright. But does he have the actual talent? And is Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, are those 2 of 3 ingredients in a super team? I don't even know if that's true yet.
If Giannis can fit with those 2, you got a damn good chance. They're second in the East now, right?
Luka Doncic.
You can barely reach your hair, let alone the rim.
But speaking of hair, can we just take a moment? Okay. Steve Kerr said this about Doncic, Bo. Quote, he reminds me a little bit of Larry Bird, but he's got this James Harden skill set with crossovers and step backs, end quote. So you in with Steve Kerr on that?
Let's just focus on the James Harden part. I don't really feel like trying to do this Larry Bird stuff with y'all right now. The James Harden part, absolutely something to it. And impressive given that Doncic is about a couple inches taller than him. Like, I feel like we just come on this show to try to find ways to say again just how great Luka Doncic is right after you do stuff like talk about how Giannis wasn't impressive for scoring 37 in 21 minutes.
Luka Doncic is so incredible.
You're not numb to it? Where's your numbness?
Here is my numbness. Basically, whoever you like as a fan of basketball history, you see it in Luka Doncic. I am numb to the comparison simply because he is unique enough to sort of fit every possible criteria. So for Larry Bird, it's the court vision. For James Harden, it's that Euro style. I'm gonna put you off balance, but also I'm gonna have the step back to my game. But it's also obviously a little mini LeBron, as I've said. It's also some Manu Ginobili. It's everything. It's a Rorschach test, and that's why he's incredible.
I feel like all of this, those last 2 were a Rorschach test about you. Come on, man. You just like I'm numb to Giannis, but Luka, I can't talk about him much more. Now, the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta has the worst record in the league, 9-32. You in on the Hawks making a deal before the deadline or just riding out this rebuild?
I am in on them riding out the rebuild simply because I don't know who they're going to get if they're going to make a big move like this. The number 1 name I've heard, Bo, is Andre Drummond, and Andre Drummond is a useful player for somebody. But if you're going to have to pay him a ton of money, and you have a guy like John Collins who vibes really well with Trae Young, obviously the centerpiece of your team, I don't know why you have to go out and rush to get an Andre Drummond.
Yeah, I got to be careful with this because I've heard a lot more about this John Collins guy than I have actually seen, and I feel like that's the case for a lot of people who talk about the Hawks because y'all ain't actually watching the Hawks play. The only rationale for making a move by the deadline, which implies some level of urgency, is that Trae Young is sick of this, right? Now, I don't know how much you have to do to counteract his sickness of the situation, or if you can just get you a grown-up, an adult, to be in there and actually play, unlike Vince Carter, who's just there to be old in the locker room. Maybe you do that. Otherwise, I guess y'all just keep on being sorry.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.